you are willing to do an English reading during services, you can send me or Rabbi Appel so we can call on you and make sure that you can read along with us. But we are glad that you are here. We're going to share our screen in just a moment so we get to celebrate second night with everybody. Get your wine glasses ready. Get everything that you need to celebrate Passover.
Hey, Lola.
Maybe in the chat box, if you can let us know.
Martha.
Oh, we have people from Texas joining us. I see that. That's awesome.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's you from Texas.
So
your own special welcome.
Amy and Paul moved to Austin to be with their kids.
So let's begin our Seder with some singing, because that's the best way. And so it's so wonderful that we are together. Hine ma tov.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
We tested your sound right before, but something happened. So your sound.
What were you hearing? Not enough or too much of?
A little too much of everything.
Oh, okay.
But we are so glad that we are here together. And so, Paul Meshes, can you read this prayer as we open our Seder together?
I lived my childhood in a world so dense that I thought we were the great imposing majority, and kindness had to be extended to others because, as my mother said, everyone wants to live like a person. In school, I met my friend Adele, who together with her mother and father were not Jewish. Despite this, they often seemed to be in a good mood. There was the janitor in charge of coal, and my father, unusually smart, spoke Italian to him. They talked about Italian literature because the janitor was equally smart. Down the hill under the southern Boulevard L, families lived, people in lovely shades of light and darkest brown. My mother and sister explained that they were treated unkindly. They had in fact been slaves in another part of the country in another time. Like us, I said. Like us, my father said after year after year at Seder's, when he told a story in a rush of Hebrew, stopping occasionally to respect my grandfather's pained face or to raise his wine glass to please the grown-ups. In this way, I began to understand in my own time and place that we had been slaves in Egypt and brought out of bondage for some reason. One of the reasons clearly was to tell the story again and again that we have been strangers and slaves in Egypt and therefore knew what we were talking about. When we cried out against pain and oppression, in fact, we were obligated by knowledge to do so.
Thank you. And so we are going to start our Seder off by lighting our Yom Tov candles. If you have candles, I have candles right near me. You can please light them with me as we sing this blessing together.
Your wine from.
It just took a little hard. I don't know if you can hear me, so.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna light our candles. Amen. And so tonight our Seder is an order. That's what Seder means. And so we are going to go through this order of the Seder. And there's going to be different things at different times. We are going to go straight through. Usually we break for a meal, but because we're on Zoom together, we'll try to finish by 6:30ish. So if you are cooking something or you have matzo ball soup on the oven, that will just give you a little heads up. But please eat during the service. Please drink during the service. Please sing along with us during the service. And so we are going to chant the order of the Seder.
Ade shurchatz, karpas yachatz, magid rochsa, motzi matzah, maror korech, shulchan orech, safun barech, Hallel nirtzah.
So we begin our Seder, of course, with a cup of wine. So make sure you have some wine. I have my wine with a little talus over here. And because we are representing our freedom, if there is someone next to you, you should not be pouring your own cup of wine. You should have someone pour your glass of wine for you. That's what it means to be free. So if you have someone sitting next to you, they can do that as well. Please join us.
Just wanted to say this little Kiddush cup, and there are 8 others, is from my great grandfathers. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, veromemanu mikol hashon, v'kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav. Vatitein lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, moadim l'simcha, chagim uzmanim l'sason. Et yom chag hamatzot hazeh, zman cherutenu mikra kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. Umoadei kodshecha, b'simcha u'bsason hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh Yisrael, v'hazmanim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiyemanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh.
L'chaim. And so we've gone in pretty good at washing our hands over the past year. So if you have any Purell around you, or if you have want to get up and go wash your hands, we are going to wash our hands twice during the Seder. The first time is without a blessing. The second time is with a blessing. So you can uncover your matzah as well when you do this. And we do a little, we pour a little, we wash our hands a little bit. Purell your hands. And I spilled, so that's good. So our first thing is we are going to eat some karpas. Does anyone know, can anyone unmute themselves and tell me why we eat karpas or something green? Does anyone know? Nobody? Rabbi Pell, you don't even know? Oh.
For spring?
Spring. Oh, Eric, I think Eric said it too. For spring, right. And so, right, if you're looking around, I've been driving around and I've been seeing some beautiful daffodils start sprouting. There are green, it's getting so much more green. This is the holiday of spring, Hag HaAviv. And so, but does anyone know what we do with this parsley or the karpas? What do we dip it in? Anyone remember? You can shout it out, unmute yourself.
Salt water
Salt water, good. Annette, and why do we dip it in salt water?
to remember the tears.
To remember the tears, right? And so I think for me, this is all about, this is what Passover is all about, the tension that we lived in. I talked a little bit about charoset, but right, we taste the tears, but also the spring, renewal as well. And there's in everything that we eat, there's a little tension in each of that. So take your parsley, your karpas, distribute it among you, and we're gonna please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam barei pari ha'adamah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruits of the tree. That's like the Dead Sea saltwater I have. Those tears are pretty. Has anyone tasted their tears before? Are they salty? They are? All right. So we are going to continue with the, oops. Excuse me. With the telling of our story a little bit. In the telling of the Passover story, we are recounted the oppression that our ancestors experienced when we were slaves in Egypt. We dip a growing vegetable karpas into salt water to taste the tears of the grief mingled with our hopes for life, health, and renewal for a more just world. This year, the tears are ours. They are tears of the sick and their loved ones who worry or mourn. They are tears of those who have lost their jobs, are uninsured, live in isolation, or must go to work each day to provide essential services to others. They're the tears of courageous healthcare workers who save lives and risk their own. We must acknowledge this pain and suffering and allow ourselves the space to grieve. Yet as the Karpas ritual beckons, we must also look toward the future with a sense of hope and possibility. Passover arrives on the precipice of spring, when new growth is just around the corner. All over the world, resilience, strength, compassion, and innovation will grow from under this tragedy. This Passover, may the brightness of our hope break through our tears and strengthen us in this moment together. And so we continue our Seder by breaking the middle matzah. So if you have matzah, you're going to take the middle. If you are going to hide the afikomen, you will get to do this as well later. Can I see everyone's matzah? Can you hold it up for me? If you have it in front of you. All right. Everyone has a matzah, and on the count of three, echad, shtaim, shalosh. Can I see any even breaks? Rabbi Pell, that was pretty good. Mine was not as good. So you hide the biggest piece. So I'm going to hold it.
Practicing.
Oh, that's good. Second time's the charm, right? There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we break our second middle matzah. We're going to hide this one.
But now there's crumbs all over my computer.
Right?
Rabbi
So
Pell.
yeah, a matzah sweep or something like that. You'll need that for sure. So we are already through a lot of our Seder by going through the order of our Seder, and we will say what this bread is all about. We'll sing this melody.
This is actually a Libyan melody, and it's quite beautiful. Ha 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 lachamanya diachalo aftana bared Mitzrayim kodich vinyete v'yecho yeten v'yecho Kodis richet en v'yivsach. Hashata hachalashana ba na'arad Yisrael. Hashata hachalashana ba na'arad Yisrael. Hashata avdel shana haba b'nei chorim.
You know, I've never heard that melody before. Beautiful.
From Libya.
Had you traveled to Libya?
No.
Oh, okay. Has anyone on here on our Passover Seder traveled to Libya? If you have, I would be interested.
I don't think it's a place anybody would want to go.
Right now, right? And so let's read together, all of us. This is the bread of affliction. Our ancestors ate in the land
of Egypt. Let all who are hungry
come and eat.
come and eat. Let all
who are in need come and celebrate
Passover with us. Now
we are here. Next year, may we be in Israel. Now we are slaves. Next year, may we
you be free.
Thank you, Adele. She was the only one that listened. I said all of us should read together, and that means all of us should have unmuted and read it together, but that's okay. So our Seder is all about questions, and we are going to ask 4 questions, but it's really a question. I always have a debate at my Seder table. Is it really 4 questions, or is it really just 1 question? Why is this night different from all other nights? You can talk about that at your table. I don't know who the youngest is. I'm not going to ID anyone. So I think we'll just chant them. Cantor Ott will chant them with us as we ask the 4 questions, first in Hebrew, and then we will do it in English.
Since we're all celebrating Pesach's past and memories that we have, I'm going to share a melody that some of you may know. Did you know that there's a traditional chant for the Haggadah in general? There's a cantillation for it. And when my grandfather used to lead the Seder, he would chant the entire Haggadah in this particular mode. And we certainly did the 4 questions. So if you know this version, please sing along with me. Nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot shebachol halelot anu ochlin chametz umatzah halayla hazeh kulo matzah shebachol halelot anu ochlin she'ar yirakot halayla hazeh maror שבכל הלילות איננו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת, הלילה הזה שטף ימים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובין, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין.
That was great, Anna.
Did you know that tune? Of course
Sure.
you know that tune.
So let's, at the bottom of the page, we ask these questions, and I have my 4 question finger puppets, which are always key. So the first one is, why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we eat bread. On this night, we eat matzah. Can someone answer that question for me? Why do we eat matzah? Well, we'll get to it in a second. Oh, we'll get to it in our story in a second. On the bottom of this page, on all other nights, we eat all kinds of vegetables. On this night, we eat bitter herbs. And so we'll talk about that because we have to answer all these questions. Here's my bitter herb. The next question is, on all other nights, we might not dip our foods even once. Here's my Karpas. But we dip twice. And then last one, on all other nights, we eat sitting up straight or reclining. Tonight, we recline. And so, Rabbi Appel, can you tell us a little bit about our story? Let's actually sing a song as we prepare for our story.
Avadim hayinu, hayinu, ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu, ata b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu, ata b'nei chorin. B'nei chorin.
Once we were slaves, now we are
We were slaves to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt, and the eternal our God took us out from there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. And if the Holy One had not taken our ancestors from Egypt, we and our children and our children's children would still be slaves to Pharaoh. Even if we were all sages, all discerning, all elders, all knowledgeable about the Torah, it is still commanded of us to tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. And anyone who continues in the telling of that story is deserving of praise. So you all get praise for being here. The four children. We've come a long way. Do you remember when it was the four sons? So now we have the four children. Corresponding to the four children, did the Torah speak? One who was wise, one who was wicked, one who was simple, and one who doesn't know how to ask.
Rabbi Appel, do you think we should typecast people in our...
Oh, yeah. Who's the wise child? Anybody want to raise their hand if they were the wise child? Cantor Novak, you were the wise child. Why am I not surprised? And who are you, Rabbi Prosnit?
I would definitely the wise child as well.
Ah, okay.
Never the wicked, never the wicked.
Good to know that amongst us we have some wise clergy. So what does the wise child say? Would someone like to unmute themselves and read this? Especially if you felt you were the wise child when you were at
Why
your
not?
Seder growing up. Go ahead, Adele.
Why not? What are these testimonies, statutes, and judgments that the eternal our God commanded you? And accordingly, you will say, we may not eat any afikomen after we are finished eating the Pesach sacrifice.
Thank you, Adele.
You're welcome, Rabbi.
Now, what does the wicked child say? Okay, who here was the wicked child? Cantor Ott, you're shaking your head. Were you the wicked child? I may have earned that title myself at one point. Can I ask someone else if they would like to unmute themselves and read for us? Annette, let's get another volunteer. Oh, Sharon, would you like to read for us?
I will. I was not the wicked child, but I will read for the wicked child on behalf of all who were the wicked child.
And they appreciate it.
What does the wicked child say? What is this worship to you and not to us? Since they excluded themselves from the collective, they denied a principle of the Jewish faith. Accordingly, you will blunt their teeth and say to them, for the sake of this did the Eternal do for me in my going out of Egypt, for me and not for them.
Thank you, Sharon. So I think the wicked child, we might interpret this a little differently today. We might see this as someone who doesn't necessarily feel included. And how do we bring them into the Seder, especially if they felt that this happened to other people, but not to them? Our next child is the simple child. Anyone here claim that title? Can I get someone else who would like to volunteer on behalf of the simple children, even if they themselves were not a simple child?
He wants to know if you want to read this.
Do you want
Go ahead.
Mark, go read it.
ahead?
Okay. What does the simple child say? What is this? And you will say, with the strength of God's hand, did the Eternal take us out from Egypt, from the house of slaves?
Great.
And that
Thank
was
you.
the simple child.
Well, I think, you know what? We're all the simple child, depending on where we are and when we are there. Many of us maybe did not know as much growing up as we know now. Or certainly, if it has anything to do with math or science, I'm the simple child. For our fourth question, and for the one who doesn't know how to ask, would someone like to volunteer to read that for us? Any volunteers? You can read on behalf of those who don't know how to ask. Annette, go ahead. Annette
I
Raddick.
definitely am not the simple child, but I will read for them. And for the one who doesn't know to ask, or I'm not the one who does, I always ask, you will open the conversation for them. As it is written, and you will speak to your child on that day, saying, for the sake of this, did the Eternal do for me in my going out of Egypt.
Great. Thank you, Annette. So from the beginning, and we skipped over, there are a lot of new versions of the For Children, and I encourage everyone to explore some of those versions. They may have to do with social justice. They may have to do with how children actually learn. And there are many online, and I encourage you to spend a little time researching them. But right now, back to our story. From the beginning, our ancestors were idol worshippers, as it is stated. Over the river, your ancestors dwelt, Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, and they worshipped other gods. And I took your father Abraham, from over the river and made him walk in all the land of Canaan, and I gave him Isaac. And I gave to Isaac Jacob and Esau, and Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Blessed is the one who keeps this promise to Israel. And it is that it has stood for our ancestors and for us, since it is not only one person or nation that has stood against us to destroy us, but rather in each generation they stand against us to destroy us, but the Holy One rescues us from their hand. In ancient times, our ancestors dwelled in Egypt, where they lived in peace for many years. Then a Pharaoh came to power who feared that the Israelites would grow too many and rise up against him. Pharaoh made them slaves and made their lives difficult with hard labor, making bricks and building cities. Still fearful of their numbers, Pharaoh decreed that all Israelite baby boys should be drowned in the Nile River. One Israelite woman named Yocheved hid her son to keep him alive. After 3 months, she placed him in a basket in the Nile River, and the boy's sister Miriam went to watch over him. Pharaoh's daughter came to bathe in the river and found the basket. She adopted the baby and named him Moses, which means taken from the river. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's house, but he could not ignore the suffering of the Jewish people. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite slave, and in anger, he killed the Egyptian. Fearing for his life, Moses fled from Egypt and settled in the land of Midian, where he became a shepherd for Jethro, high priest of Midian. Years later, Moses was tending his flock when he saw a bush that burned without being consumed. God spoke to Moses from the bush, saying, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I have seen the Jewish people suffering greatly. God commanded Moses to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites to freedom. A scene right out of the movie. Moses and his brother Aaron went to Pharaoh and demanded that he free the Jewish people, but Pharaoh refused, also known as Yul Brynner, and instead made the slaves work even harder. So God sent 10 plagues to punish the Egyptians. After each plague, Moses pleaded with Pharaoh to let the Jews go. And each time Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Do we have a musical rendition coming up?
We do. I mean, how could you not? This is one of the best songs of the Seder. You ready, guys? When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
Thank you, Cantor Novak. Before the final plague, Moses instructed the people to paint their door with lamb's blood, so the angel of death would know to pass over the homes of the Israelites. And now we come to the plagues. And as each plague is recited, we take a little drop of our wine, we put our pinky into the wine, and just diminish our joy of the sweet wine or whatever beverage we're drinking just a little, so that we can appreciate what it was like to live during that time of plagues, as if we don't already know. So, dam, blood.
Blood.
Bardea,
Frogs.
neem,
Rice.
arov,
Flies.
Fly,
dever,
dever,
Cattle
cattle,
disease.
bean,
Boils.
boil,
barad,
Hail.
hail,
arbeth,
Locusts.
koshech,
Darkness.
dark,
makot berachot.
Death of the firstborn.
born.
I think we have a musical rendition.
Do we really want to do this? This is so much fun. Oh,
If anyone has plague bags, I would love to see their plagues. If anyone has frogs or anything like that, let's see them jumping around. If anyone has, oh, I see the Samuel kids have their mask on. Awesome.
best song ever.
We're ready. Change the scenery too.
Yeah. Blood in the water made the river run red. 10 plagues in Egypt land. Pharaoh should have listened to what God said. 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt's land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Frogs were jumping in Pharaoh's hair. 10 plagues in Egypt's land. Pharaoh didn't like it, but the frogs didn't care. Egypt's land. Give it up, Pharaoh, you're never gonna win. 10 plagues in Egypt's land. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt's land. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt's land. Then plagues in Egypt's land. Not so much for Pharaoh cry, yeah. Then plagues in Egypt's land. Swords of locusts ate the crops. And plagues in Egypt's land. Our Pharaoh wouldn't stop. 10 plagues in Egypt's land. Darkness and the light of day. 10 plagues in Egypt's land. Pharaoh was lost, find his way. Oh, 10 plagues in Egypt's land. First of John, the final blow. 10 plagues in Egypt's land. Like the Pharaoh, the people go, yay! 10 plagues in Egypt's land. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt's land. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt's land.
What a great song. So, and with that, we continue our story. After the final terrible plague, Pharaoh finally agreed to let the Israelites go free. The Jewish people left in a great hurry, but Pharaoh soon changed his mind and sent his army after them. The army pursued them to the banks of the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds. God told Moses to raise his staff, and the waters parted, allowing the Jewish people to cross through the water on dry land. The Egyptians chased them into the sea, but the waters rushed back upon the Egyptian soldiers, drowning them. Safely on the other side, Moses and the Israelites sang a song of praise to God. Moses' sister Miriam led them in a joyous dance.
I want to see people dancing.
Cantor Ott, you have to unmute.
So please join me in Dayenu. Ilu hotzi hotzi anu hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim hotzi anu mi Mitzrayim Dayenu. Everybody now. Dayenu. 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 Dayenu, 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 Ilu natan lanu et haTorah, natan lanu et haTorah, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Dayenu, 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 Ilu natan lanu et haShabbat, natan lanu et haShabbat, Dayenu. Here we go. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu.
Here's a special Dayenu for these post-quarantine Dayenu for my friend Rabbi Sarah Marion. When the quarantine ends and we never again take a single hug, handshake, or human touch for granted, Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we return to rushing, swirling, spinning world with a newfound appreciation for slowing down. Dayenu, it will be enough. When life resumes, but this time with more room for rest, laughter, creativity, connection, and play. Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we look our doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers in the eye and thank them from the bottom of our hearts for putting their lives on the line so that we could live. Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we use all that we have learned to ensure that we are never again so woefully unprepared for a global health pandemic, Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we don't stop protesting, organizing, lobbying, doing whatever we need to do until affordable, accessible, and adequate healthcare for every American becomes the reality, Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we understand that the incredible ways that quarantine millions to avoid one plague has only exacerbated countless others, plagues like domestic violence, poverty, and racism, just to name a few, Dayenu, it will be enough. When this quarantine ends and we live each day of our lives with more fullness, more compassion, more purpose, and more joy than ever before, Dayenu, Dayenu, then it will truly be enough.
What a great reading. Thank you, Rabbi Prosnat. So we continue our Seder by explaining the ritual objects on our Seder plate. Why is there a bone on our Seder plate?
Raise your bone if you have one. Pass one. So vegetarian. I think some What do you? If you're a vegetarian, what do you do if you don't have a bone?
You roast a beet.
Oh. You put that over your door.
Right. It serves two purposes. So the bone reminds us of how God passed over the houses of our ancestors during the final plague over Egypt, saving them. Now, why do we eat matzah? Want to raise there? I've got a whole plate full here. Get a piece? Yes, there's my matzah. The matzah reminds us that the Israelites left Egypt in a great hurry. They did not have time for their bread to rise. And why do we eat maror? Why do we eat the bitter herbs?
I forgot to put that on a Seder plate.
Where's my bitter herbs? Here are my bitter herbs. The bitter herbs remind us of how Pharaoh embittered the lives of our ancestors with hard labor.
Do you have other things on your Seder plate?
Well, we have the world's biggest orange on my Seder plate. Does anyone else have anything else on their Seder plates that are not typical?
Why do you have an orange?
So the orange is interesting because, first of all, there's the urban myth that a lot of people may have heard that goes back to Susanna Heschel telling the story that many people heard was that Susanna Heschel was in Florida talking about or lobbying for the ordination of women many, many years ago. And someone from the audience, according to the legend, said that a woman belongs on the bima as much as an orange belongs on a Seder plate. But the truth is, that is an urban legend. The orange actually began at early feminist Seders, and it represented the inclusion of all people who were marginalized, not only women, but also specifically the LGBTQ community. So that's why we still have an orange on our plate. And today that could represent maybe Jews of color who may not always feel fully welcomed into our communities.
Does anyone else have anything they added to their Seder plate this year?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. I'm ready for my second cup of wine. Is anyone else? So if you need to refill your glasses with your beverage, this is a perfect time to do so. And Cantor Ott will lead us. You're muted, Cantor Ott.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei beri hagafen.
I am. So we're getting to our meal. So we're going to get to wash our hands.
Yes, we do it one more time. This time we wash our hands with the blessing, and we wash before reciting the blessing. And if you would like to join me in the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Eloheinu,
asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvot and commanded us to wash your hands,
So
or
I-
Purell your hands.
I just have a question. Why
Yeah.
do we have to wash our hands twice? Isn't once good enough?
Not during a plague.
There you go.
Good answer.
Good.
We have to be ready to sanctify our Seder, so we have to get ready to prepare ourselves for the offering of the Paschal offering as well. So we'll wash it in the beginning too. But during a plague, you should wash as many times as you can.
Agreed.
And for 30 seconds while you sing a popular song to time yourself by. And so now we come to saying motzi over the matzah, and which indicates that we're getting close to dinner because we can't eat until we say the motzi. So, Cantor, I think you're leading us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has created bread from the earth.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvah and commanded us to eat matzah. You can all unmute yourselves so I can hear everyone chomping away on their matzah.
And apparently dogs love matzah.
There we go. We hear some crunching. That's good.
There we go.
Anyone else have some crunching? All right.
Maror, the bitter herbs. Okay, so now it's our opportunity to have something bitter, right? Does everyone have their bitter herbs handy? See how brave you all are. Okay, if you'd like to join me, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav al achilat maror. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvot and commanded us to eat bitter herbs.
So people know if they have COVID if you can't taste your maror, right? That's part of it. So
maybe that's the test they should use.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, and now we come to the Hillel sandwich. When the temple stood in Jerusalem, the biggest ritual of them all was eating the lamb offered as the Pesach or Passover sacrifice. The great sage Hillel would put the meat in a sandwich made of matzah along with some bitter herbs. Now, while we don't make sacrifices anymore, we honor this custom and remember it by eating a sandwich of the remaining matzah and bitter herbs. Now, some people also will include a bit of charoset in the sandwich to remind us that God's kindness helped relieve the bitterness of slavery. So yet again, we get to experience the dichotomy of the Seder meal. So the bottom matzah of the Seder plate is broken, and you share that with everyone at your table. And each person takes 2 pieces of matzah and makes themselves a sandwich. So enjoy.
So this is where we would traditionally eat. But instead of coming back on for the Zoom Seder at the end, we're just going to plow right through, sing a couple songs, welcome Elijah, find the Afikomen. But as you eat your Hillel sandwich, we have a Where's Waldo? Can anyone find the Afikomen? The first person to find the afikomen I'll donate to their favorite charity. Some tzedakah to their favorite charity. So look for the afikomen. It's a little blurry. Shout it out if you find it. Put it in the chat box. It's a little small. And when we do this,
Found it.
You found it. All right, Adele, let's wait. But Anna, I think there's a song as we do a little afikomen hunting that we
That's
can.
correct. That is correct. And it's called the Afikomen Mambo. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the Afikoman. Every year at Pesach time, we eat the matzah and we drink the wine. We ask for questions one by one. But before the Seder's done, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the afikoman. We eat charoset and we dip karpas. We tell the story of the Exodus, the bitter cross. But when I find the afikoman, I'm the boss. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the afikoman. Now you can lay it on the table, hide it in a box, underneath the stairway or inside the kitchen clock. You can put it in your pocket, put it under the TV, but you can't hide the afikoman from me. Ay, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the afikoman last time, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the afikoman.
Awesome. So anyone else find the afikoman? I heard Adele did. Jordan, did you find the afikoman? Did Pierce find the afikoman? I see them looking around their house. Adele, where do you think the afikoman is?
Where do I think it was? Under the desk.
Yeah, where is it? Oh, it's under your desk. Okay, that's good. I hit that. I could have. But here, if you could see my pointer, can you see my pointer?
No.
You see my pointer? There's the afikoman.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Rabbi,
That was not easy.
So,
come on.
I know it's a hard one. It's a little blurry, but at least we found it. So we can continue our Seder, and we continue our Seder by raising a glass and a third glass of wine. 2 more glasses left. This is our third. Please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Hey.
borei peri
And
hadafen. L'chaim.
And so at big events in our lives, we have moments to welcome Elijah. We welcome Elijah at the end of Shabbat, at Havdalah. At baby namings, we welcome Elijah. And at our Passover Seder, we welcome Elijah. Our hope is that Elijah, we will bring redemption. But we have to act a little bit. We have to open that door for Elijah. So if you are near a door, can you help me out and open a door for Elijah as we have our Elijah's cup. I have Elijah's cup here, and everyone else has Elijah's cup on their tables, and we sing this song.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakilati, Bimhera v'yamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach Giladi.
And so our hope is that we can bring Elijah to our world this year. May our doors be more open than they have this past year. May we be able to share joy and be able to share sorrow with people in each other's homes. That is my prayer. That is my hope as we move from the pandemic outward this coming year. And so we sing a couple of songs to finish off. Cantor, which one? Haggadah or Adirhu?
Adirhu.
All
Adirhu. Please join me. Adirhu, Adirhu, Yivne Vetu Bekarov, Bimheira,
Imhera.
Nu Bekarov, El B'nai, B'nai Vetcha Bekarov, Bachurhu, Gadolhu, Dagulhu, Hadurhu, Vatikhu, Zakaihu, Yivne Vetu Bekarov, Bimheira, Yamenu Bekarov, El B'nai, B'nai Vetcha Bekarov, Chasidhu, Kahorhu, Yachidhu, Kabirhu, Lamurhu, Melechu, Yivne Vetu Bekarov, Bimheira, Yamenu Bekarov, El B'nai, B'nai Vetcha Bekarov. Going to the end. Norahu, Sagivhu, Izuzhu, Bodehu, Tzadikhu, Kadoshu, Rachumhu, Shadaihu, Takifhu, Yevne Vetu Bekarov, Bimheira, B'yamenu Bekarov, El B'nai, B'nai Vetcha Bekarov.
I don't think I've ever sang an entire Adirhu before. So here's our first Passover. Thank you. And so we finish our Seder with a glass of wine, our fourth cup. Please join with us as we drink this final glass.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei hagafen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And so we'll end our Seder with these words. In a moment, our Seder will be complete. However, we remember that working against oppression in the world is our never-ending responsibility. We recommit ourselves to the vision of a world filled with peace and justice for all. We work for a world where nation not lift up sword against nation nor learn war anymore. We work for a world where people are not treated differently because of their race, their religion, their gender, their age, their marital status, their skin color, the people they love, their profession, or their politics. We work for a world that affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person on our planet and ensures basic human rights for everyone, everywhere. Like Nachshon standing at the shore of the Red Sea, we are not waiting for a miracle, but rather proceeding with faith that God will support us and give us strength and resolve all to work together and heal the world. We close our Seder by saying Lishana Haba'a B'Yerushalayim, which means next year in Jerusalem. For centuries, this declaration expressed the Jewish people's goal to return to our homeland. Even after the founding of the state of Israel in 1948, these words still resonate with us. We all have our own personal aspirations and dreams that we are striving for. As we conclude our Seder, may we have the strength and will to continue working toward our personal Jerusalem and toward a world where all people will live in shalom, peace and safety and freedom.
Lishana haba, Lishana haba, Lishana haba, B'Yerushalayim, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה בירושלים, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה בירושלים, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה בירושלים, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה, לשנה הבאה בירושלים.
Next year in Jerusalem, next year together. May it be a sweet and healthy Passover. Thank you for joining us and being together with our Temple Emanu-El community. Happy Passover. Enjoy your meal.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, Azisen Pesach.
Chag Sameach.
Sameach.
Hag Sameach to everybody.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.